YouTube? It's Andrew with All Things Fantasy, and in today's video, um, I'm gonna be doing um, a Week 12 Thanksgiving Day slate lineup building, um, and I think I'm just gonna make a couple different lineups and just kind of talk about the players and kind of like put together some lineups. And I did do a picks video for this slate specifically. You can check that out, and so I'm just gonna kind of take those picks and put them in some lineups, and think I'm gonna try to make a solid cash game lineup that I feel good about, and then a solid tournament lineup, um, and just kind of look at both of them. So yeah, to get started, I talked about in my video how Andrew Luck is probably not going to play, and that's looking pretty true right now. Yeah, he didn't practice Tuesday, so it looks like he's going to be out. I think it kind of takes away a little bit from that game. So we're gonna start with the cash game lineup. So I'm just gonna actually start with running backs. So for my cash game lineups, I really, really, really want to have Zeke and Bell in my lineup, if at all possible. Just because they're both, gonna have, but they both are, in great spots to have monster games. So we're gonna put them both. Whoops, how'd that happen? We're going to put them both in my lineup right now and then kind of go from there. So I definitely want a kind of a cheaper stack. That's where I kind of want to get off Roethlisberger. Even though I think he's in a great spot, I think that Roethlisberger, Prescott, and Cousins all could have similar games. So I really don't think you can go wrong with either of them. So um, now that Dak and Kirk are a lot cheaper. They're only $400 difference. I think I'm gonna definitely try to stack one, and I think it's really gonna depend on who I'm stacking them with. And I think Kirk definitely has the cheaper receiver options. One thing to note: Dallas is at home, which I think you gotta give Dak be a little bit of a favorite here. Just kind of look at his game log. Yeah, he's been just consistently in the 20s his past 5 games. Very cheap price. His touchdowns has been there too. 2, 3, 2, 3. Pretty consistent. And just a quick little glance at Cousins. So I want to so obviously these last 2 games are at home, and obviously Minnesota was a little lower scoring game. Green Bay he lit up, and now he's going on the road. Look at his last couple road games. He seemed like he handled the road pretty well. I think just in general the Redskins are just playing a lot better. And while I think they're both I think this could be a big shootout, and I think they're both gonna have big games. I think I'm just gonna go with Kirk Cousins, based on the fact of he has some cheaper options to stack with, and not that I'm not comfortable in Dez Bryant, but there was talk about him being shadowed by Josh Norman, which gives me some concern, and I think I'd rather kind of go the opposite. See, so immediately I'm kind of off these top 4 guys. I think Moncrief is a good option. I think it's like almost a given that he scores a touchdown every week. His price has increased a lot. But yeah, Moncrief is definitely very interesting. And then you look at Crowder, who I'm most likely going to put in my lineup. His price has gone up a lot. And I really want to stack too. Like I don't feel comfortable putting Pierre Garcon in my lineup. I know he's had some good games recently, but like we've seen him dud out sometimes. Like he's getting some good targets, right? Like, but with obviously with Deshaun Jackson's status, I guess uncertain at this point. He was limited. I don't know. They said he probably will be back in, I guess. But yeah, I mean, I just kind of gotta look at the targets, and Pierre Garcon was getting some good looks. I mean, honestly, more than Jamison Crowder, but Jamison Crowder just did more with his looks. I mean, and that was like one of his lows of the season, so not too. I don't feel too bad about taking Jamison Crowder. Golden Tate, I talked about in my video. Adam Thielen, I talked a little bit about. Now with this, with taking Zeke and Bell, Zeke and Bell, it really limits you. That's why you kind of got to go this cheap stack. But I feel good about this cheap stack. Now I guess the question is, what I do about tight ends. I think if I want to take Jordan Reed, it's really going to limit me at other positions. I think if I wanted to do that, I mean, I think a triple stack is more beneficial maybe for a tournament lineup. So I think I'm going to go kind of run it back a little bit here and go with Jason Witten as my tight end. And then, so like right now I'm like full on game stack pretty much. And then I have Bell. Now Moncrief is very expensive. Let's see what we can do if we put Thielen in here, and then Moncrief, and then I talked about this in my video. I was basically it's just Vikings Steelers pretty much in my opinion, and I'm probably just gonna go Steelers. It really depends if anyone plays. Steelers flex leaves me with 4,400. And yeah, so this is honestly kind of a spot that I wanted to be in. I wanted to see if I had enough for Rob Kelly, and I do. So this is really interesting. I think Rob Kelly is, just getting a lot more workload. Look at his past couple of games, 3 games. He's gotten 20 rushing attempts. He doesn't really catch the ball, which is fine. But, I mean, look at his yards. His yards have been there. So, I mean, even just off of that alone, I mean, he's producing, giving you a pretty decent floor. And obviously the touchdowns, they came in bundles last week. I think we see him maybe punch one in this game. And I feel pretty confident about drafting Rob Kelly. I mean, looking at you guys in this price range, Marvin Jones has just been a dud, ever since the start. He had this hot start, and he was just like, you saw his price tag, around 7K. Like he was up in the 6,000s. Like he was very expensive a while ago, and now he's 4K heading complete downward direction. But yeah, I mean, if I see going Rob Kelly is good for this lineup because it gives me just a lot of it gives me all of Washington touchdown equity for the most part. I mean, obviously, if Crowder doesn't score, if Crowder's on the end of the receiving touchdowns, and that does take away. But I mean, I'm still having Kirk Cousins who's throwing them, and Rob Kelly, who's gonna be punching him in. So the other guys in that price, like I was talking about, that I would look for would be probably Garcon, just because it seems like he's getting targets. You know, 7, 10, 7. You know, he's getting the targets. Um, like in these games, you know, obviously like these, you know, he only had what 67 yards, a lot of off 6 catches. You know, so I mean, he's not in these games. He wasn't really going anywhere with those targets. Um, this game, he just the yards started to improve. I mean, that's a good direction, and he got a touchdown. I mean, maybe he's in the right direction. But I think that was just kind of that game was just such a high scoring game that Kirk Cousins was really spreading the ball around. I think Crowder is his really more go to guy. So yeah, so I feel pretty confident about this lineup for cash. I mean, I think you got a really good base with the Bell and Zeke, and then the Kirk Cousins stack, um, and then you kind of got your couple cheap plays. You got Thielen in there. We were able to afford Moncrief, which I really like, and then Witten, who I think is probably the second best tight end to own on this slate, and then we got Rob Kelly, and then the Steelers D. I mean, I think this is. Um, as far as cash goes, I think this is going to be a really, probably really chalky lineup. But I mean, I think people are not going to put Zeke and Bell together. Like a lot of people, inexperienced players, might not put Zeke and Bell together just because they're looking at the price tags. Like, wow, I can't do that. They're way too expensive, and they might only put one in their lineup. And I think that's just kind of something you got to take advantage of. Because people are going to be trying to roster Big Ben and all that stuff, and I think that's where you kind of take advantage. You kind of take advantage a little bit of the experience, and kind of that's where you're going to separate yourself with this cash game lineup. But yeah, like I said, there's a lot of chalk, and I think this is going to be a winner. So let's. Wow, this video is already kind of getting up there. So let's clear this out real fast. Let's make a GPP lineup. And go back to start with QBs. Now telling that now that we're making a tournament lineup, we're not gonna roster Zeke and Bell. I probably gonna roster one of them, just because if you want to win a tournament, you're gonna have to have a player that goes nuts, and one of these players is gonna go nuts. You just gotta have one of them, and it's honestly, if you're asking me to pick, it's really hard to pick. I'm gonna go. Man, this is tough, but I'm gonna say that Pittsburgh uses Bell, and he gets just way more workload, and then that Dallas is not gonna use Zeke as much, and maybe that's more of a Dallas is gonna start throwing the ball a little bit more. I mean, it's really hard to say that because Dallas, they run so much. It's really hard to say that. But I mean, if you look at Zeke's last game, he didn't get in the end zone, and he just kind of got his, he missed the 100-yard bonus, and he got 4 catches for 30 yards. I mean, still 16.7, not bad, but that's honestly like his floor. That's a bad Zeke game right there, 16.7. I mean, that's he did the same thing this week. 96, 4 catches, 52 yards. That's his floor. And you gotta hope for a Zeke floor game, which is still not bad, but it's not gonna probably win a tournament. So we're gonna hope for a Zeke floor game, which back-to-back Zeke floor games is probably not gonna happen. But we gotta think in this tournament mindset. So we're gonna go with hope for a Zeke floor game and go with Le'Veon Bell, and then Um, look at some of the other plays. Like there's like really no interesting plays at running back besides Theo Riddick, who I think is in a really interesting spot. It might be able to break out for a big game here. Um, I'm gonna get a roster for that Rob, and we're gonna kind of come back to Riddick and my flex. So, and then going on to QBs. So this would be a spot where I might want to think about Roethlisberger Brown stack, um, which is obviously going to be very very expensive. And then already having Bell, like you're really limiting yourself here. Um, and I think in a tournament lineup, you really want to try to separate yourself with um, with your players and kind of do something that nobody else is going to do. I feel like a lot of people are going to go the Brown Roethlisberger stack. So maybe we might try to roster some like really expensive um, receivers that aren't, not named Antonio Brown. Like, yeah, Moncrief and if you throw Dak in here, and then we run it back with Reed. So like pretty much like the opposite of what I did on the other stack, and we run it back with Reed. And Beasley, he's been pretty consistent. Not gonna lie. Yeah, he's been pretty good. We'll see. I really love Dez though. Let's see what else we can go with here. Yeah, so maybe this game is a game I should target Pierre Garcon. So Saudi's already kind of getting eaten up here, so let's put in my defense. Yeah, so okay, this is something I want to talk about. So a lot of people like obviously for a tournament lineup, they're gonna try to find a really, really like unknown defense and try to really make themselves differentiate themselves with like the defense position too. And me, I'm I'm the type of player who I'll just throw a chalk defense in my tournament lineup. Just because I'm like that's the defense that I think is going to score the most points. That's the defense I think is going to have a good game, and I'm not going to risk it on a low owned play just because they're low owned. So we're gonna go Steelers again. I mean Steelers or Vikings. Obviously that could change. But yeah, we're gonna go Steelers again, and I feel good about that. So yeah, so now we're looking for some cheap wide receivers. So if you plug in Theo, like we're not gonna have enough. Obviously, if I took out Reed and went somewhere else, I probably could squeeze him in there, but I kind of want Reed in this stack, and because basically like the way this is gonna work out for me is like if I play my Kirk Cousins lineup in cash, and then I play this lineup in if I play this lineup in tournaments, and I could throw obviously I could throw Zeke in this lineup too, and like kind of just have two different separate tournament lineups. But if I this lineup's my tournaments, and like so if my cash game like duds out, but this game that means but like the game still is high scoring, like the game goes the other way, then that means this lineup's gonna hit, and so that's kind of where you kind of like balance your shares. Like you have kind of like all the hedge plays, all the opposite plays of your cash game lineup in a tournament. So basically, no matter what happens, like you still have really really good odds of of being in the money, of either cashing in your cash game lineups or being in the money and possibly doing really really well in tournaments. So yeah, let's try to fill in these last two guys real fast. I mean, if we go Thielen again, that puts us, at the very, very min. And we actually could go with a player who I was thinking about. I was thinking about going Witten, and that would be interesting. You go the um, two tight end play. Who I think they both have some really good floors. I think Jace wins. Consistency is really really good, and I think that can match up well. Yeah, so I do like this lineup. I mean, maybe we'll play around with Thielen, see who else is out there. Garcon is out there. Wait, where's my thing? Okay, Garcon is out there. Let's see how many. Okay, I mean, yeah, I think I will go Garcon. Um, so obviously, I mean that does give me zero exposure to the Minnesota game, but honestly, it's kind of what I want. Like, I just don't have faith in that game. I don't want to mess with that game. You know, I really just want exposure to both of the later games. Um, yeah, so I'm gonna go Garcon there, and that's gonna be my turning lineup. Again, like I said again, I'll probably maybe switch things around and throw Zeke in here just so I have like both of like um, both of the stud running backs. So so if either one gets a big game, I'm looking good for tournaments. And like obviously, I think they're both gonna have big games, but in tournaments you kind of gotta like almost hope that one has a bad game. For a tournament in a small set like this, you kind of gotta hope one has a big game and you're on the right one. Because if you're gonna roster both in the tournament and one of them duds out, that automatically just drops you down, and people are just gonna start leapfrogging past you because everybody that had their contrarian plays. But yeah, I really like this for tournaments. I think a lot of people are gonna be really split with the Dak stack, and I think Big Ben's gonna be super popular. And I've kind of just trying to talk myself out of him. Um, and obviously Kirk Cousins might not be the chalkiest quarterback stack, but I think um, he's solid enough to play in cash, and with a small set like this, you can get away with it. So those are my two lineups. This one cash, one tournament. Hopefully these do good. Hopefully you'll see me doing a lineup review. Hopefully you'll see me doing a lineup review video Friday of these lineups and me having some good paydays. But yeah, good luck to everybody for the Thanksgiving slate, and hopefully everybody have a happy Thanksgiving. And thank you all for watching. I'll see you in the next video.